Hello and welcome to Wake Up Our Faith in Business. For those of you who are with us here, we appreciate you tuning in live. We are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We're here every single Wednesday from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. in the Standard Glass Studios. This show is rebroadcast on Wilmington's Big Talker, 106.7 FM, every Sunday from 12 to 2. Matt Ham here. This is Kevin Adams, and we're the co-founders of YouPrint, a faith and personal development organization right here in Wilmington, North Carolina. And if you're a regular viewer, you know that we've added some beauty to the scene today. We are joined by the lovely and wonderful Annah Norris. Anna.
Hi, everyone.
So glad to have you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you jumping in.
No, this is great. I really appreciate the invitation.
Yeah, it's fun because we just get to just expand our horizons and hear about people who are doing awesome stuff in this city and around. So for our viewers, I want to let you know that part of the heart of our organization is to highlight people that are living out this thing we call a YouPrint. This is their God-given design. This is their heavenly value, their purpose. This is how we talk about it. Right. So, Kevin, we're always looking kind of to and fro for folks who are really living this out, right?
Yeah. The unsung heroes. We want to give them a voice at whatever corner we're in and say, come on in and let's help not only you, Anna, but those that God's intending to bless through you. Let's reach out to them. So that's a big part of what we do. Try to get behind people's dreams and help remove obstacles. So, but in business, where do you spend all your time?
Right.
Outside of your family and sleeping? I mean, it's in the 6 days between Sundays. Right. So big deal. Faith in business. You
know, it's fantastic. And Anna, we originally got connected through my wife Liz. Y'all were in a women's group together, and I was personally just inspired by your story of kind of being in an environment for however many years and then having this audacious, courageous faith to step into what God was calling you to do. Yeah. I just applaud you for that. But I want our viewers to hear a little bit about the backstory there, so feel free to share.
Well, yeah, the last company I was with, Bill Clark Homes, was just an amazing family group that I had that took care of me for most of my adult life, honestly. So 15 years almost at that company, and taught me everything I know about business. And came a point when I just realized not that there was anything wrong, but that there was something different. And so for me to start thinking about what is it that God has for my life, it just seemed to be something different. I couldn't put my finger on it for a long time. I had a lot of thoughts running around in my head, like most people do. And it took, months of prayer and thought and discussions with my friends and godly women in my Bible study and learning what that looked like in my life. So, after so many years of working for a home builder, I had the blessing of being able to learn everything about the industry. They trusted me on so many different levels as we grew in time. And, looking back on it, I don't know how many people can say they love everything about their job. I loved everything I did, no matter what it was that was thrown at me. And all those opportunities got me to where I was able to do something like this on my own. So I'm very, very thankful for that. But I just knew it was time to move into something a little bit different where I could impact our community purposefully for a specific purpose, as opposed to for a paycheck, was how I started feeling. That wasn't the vision of the company, but I started feeling like that was my role and my purpose there. I was going to work every day to provide for my family, which is a great thing, but it wasn't everything, and it wasn't the best thing. So...
Well, when did you begin to feel that kind of, we were talking on the first hour about these windows of opportunity, whether it's pain or hunger or a burning desire. Yeah. This is the opportunity that God presents us with to step in fully.
Right.
What did that look like for you, and specifically in your walk of faith? Like, how did that have implications on where you were?
I don't think I realized that there was a potential for something different for me until I started getting involved in my small group, in my Bible study. I was a believer for most of my adult life again, and I was attending church every Sunday and taking my kids to church, and I did my quiet time, and my walk with the Lord was good. But it wasn't until I found a community of people to come around me, to encourage me. And I purposely had not wanted that. That sounds crazy, but I was go to church and sit in the back row every Sunday because I was so tired. I didn't want to talk to people. It was a 1 hour a week. I had a break and I wanted to be fed, but I wasn't doing anything to give back. And it was that small group really coming around me to show me that there was more to my life and that I did have a purpose, or start thinking about that fact, I think, that there was something a little bit different. And if I was exhausting myself every day to the point of having nothing left to offer, that was a problem. So it really was a point of exhaustion in my life, of working so hard, working my fingers to the bone every day, staying up all night working. And I think God calls us to work hard at what he tells us to do, but there was a point where it was exhausting, not energizing. And so I realized, if I'm walking past people that need me every day, if someone comes into my office and I'm frustrated because they're interrupting me, as opposed to taking the interruption as a chance to connect with another person, that was really what was convicting for me, was realizing that even though I thought I was working hard for other people, I was really being selfish. I was being very selfish in the fact that I had nothing left to offer friends, my children at the end of the day, and just people, opportunities, interruptions. Every time somebody spoke to me, it was an interruption and I was irritated. So I realized there's something has to change. And that's when I started thinking about what that looked like. I didn't know what needed to change. And I tried to get a hold of it and I couldn't, because I was trying to do it on my own. I was trying to figure out, readjust my schedule, balance my life, balance my schedule, balance my mom life and my work life and my friend life. And you can't balance it when it's too much. And I can't balance it when I'm not the one in control. So I feel like God pushed me a little bit over the edge physically. I got to a point about this time last year where I was in so much pain physically that it was hard to get out of bed. I was just exhausted. I remember laying in bed one night just crying because it's hurting so bad and I couldn't sleep. And I think it was really just my body just telling me that it was time. Yeah. It's time. And I had a pivotal moment. I was like, God, help me. And I'm like, oh, no, God, thank you. So my perspective shifted, and I realized at that moment that it was God getting my attention. He said, you're trying to do this on your own. Let me take control. It's almost like he was patting me on the back saying, you've done a good job like you do with your children. You've done a pretty good job, but now see what's going to happen when I take control. Yeah. And that really, it was strange, but it was that one night that I remember so clearly of God saying, it's time. It's time to let go and let me take this. And that's when I really started my journey.
Yeah. I just wanted to, there's so much in that, and it's funny, it relates perfectly back to our first segment.
Dead on.
Well, that's good because I didn't listen.
It's dead on.
Yeah, well, it's just proof that he's doing this, and our job is to yield and follow. We got to be Mary, not Martha, and you just made that jump, but you got to that place where you were worn out. So one of the really important things going on here is you let go of your own will, which is how, but you didn't let go of the desires of your heart.
Right.
And that's what Jesus, one of the great things he showed us. I came not to do my own will, but the will of my Father. He laid it down in the garden. Again, his own will, but not the desires of his heart. Those are the seeds and the markers of what he has for you. Right. And the key, what I heard you saying, is I loved everything about it. So,
and that's what was so hard to give up, because I did love it and I knew it's what I was supposed to be doing. And so the thought of leaving, I was afraid at times. And one reason it took me so long to make the jump was because I was afraid at times that I was doing it because I was giving up. I didn't want to give up, and just because it was hard, because I'm a pusher. I love to do that.
That's so amen. Yeah. And I just wanted to draw this point for the audience in showing that you didn't let go of the thing that he put in you.
Right.
That's exciting. You're working from hunger now, but it's how that we struggle with, and that's what wears us out. So that's a great example of that. I just wanted to highlight that before we moved on. So.
Yeah, and we've got we're going to take a break here in a second, and kind of in my picture of summation of this is that thing of when you truly know what the desire is, but you let go of, like Kevin said, how it's going to happen. I was talking with a guy just the other day. He was like, man, I want to do worship music and I want to write music and I just don't know how. And I said, good, let go of the how.
That's right. You'll take credit if you know the how.
Right. You're asking the wrong
Instead of giving it to
question.
him.
It's why.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing is so many people out there kind of living in these jobs and they know that thing. They know the why. They know the thing that burns inside them. They struggle with the how. They get hung up on the how. So they just stay in the hamster wheel.
Right.
It takes
So
pain.
Yeah.
Yep.
Usually to get there.
It
to
does.
jump out. So
Absolutely.
Anna, we're going to come back after a short break, and we'll kind of jump into how you began to navigate that step and what that looks like for those out there who are hungry and eager to do the same thing. You're listening to Wake Up Our Faith in Business. We'll be back for more right after this. Hello, and welcome back to Wake Up Our Faith in Business. My name is Matt Ham. This is Kevin Adams, and we're coming to you every single week with tangible ideas of how to navigate your life between Sundays. We spend the majority of our times at work and in our businesses, but how do we live out our faith there? We begin to talk about that, give you some practical ways and some ideas on how to live out that expression. And we love inspiring stories of people that are doing that. We have one in studio with us today, and Annah Norris. Annah is the founder of Isabella Grace Refined Homes. We're going to talk about that here in this next segment. But I want to thank one of our corporate partners for making this show possible, and that is Chris Riley and the team at Fountain Financial Services. They have been giving clients and families a better life for more than 20 years, and they are in the business of keeping promises. If you have any financial needs, do give Chris and his team at Fountain Financial a call. That's 910-256-8882. So, Anna, in the first segment today, we dove into a little bit of your backstory, kind of how you felt the stirring in your spirit, but there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of hesitation, there's a lot of angst, and then you reach this moment of impasse where you said something's got to change, right? And it's this laying down of all things common sense and stepping in.
Yes, it is.
And stepping into the beauty of that which is our good Lord and His provision.
Yep.
So tell everybody about how that began to take shape in your heart,
Okay.
and then how it manifested itself in the physical realm and it became something in reality.
Well, with Isabella Grace, the name came about much later than the initial stirring and the vision. For years, I've been very touched and stirred to, when I drive down the street, I can drive anywhere around town, downtown, up the street towards my house. Anytime I see an older, rundown home, all I can see is what I think the home should be, like what it should look like. Mm-hmm. So I want to get my hands on these homes so badly, and not to fix them up and sell them, not to flip, not any of that that's so popular now, but to fix it up for the person living there.
Yeah.
I know how important it is to have a space to feel comfortable, or just that you can, like a retreat that you can go to. And a lot of people don't have that. And so it was something that really just, it was a burden for me, was trying to get my hands on these houses, but I couldn't figure out how do I do that and survive? I can't fix up homes for people and pay the bills and take care of my children. How do I do that? And I thought this for months and months and months. And at one point, one of my good friends actually mentioned to me a one-for-one concept. Well, what if every time you build a home, what if every time you fix up a home, what if you renovate a home, you take that profit and use that to help someone else who needs help with their home? And I was like, no, because then I have to start a business, which I didn't want to do. This was something I wanted to do just, out of desire. It wasn't something I wanted to make money off of, but,
Perfect.
And then I started realizing that maybe this is a really good idea. Initially, I just, shoot it away and thought, no, there's no way. But the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. I could still do what I loved, do what I knew how to do, and still achieve my vision. And so what we're doing with Isabella Grace is we're taking a large percent of the profit on every home that we do, that we renovate for someone, or that we sell, and turn around and use it to find some person in town that needs help with their home. My passion is specifically, Bible calls to help the widows and the orphans. So for me, it's foster families, single moms, single parents are really my target. Not that we're not open to other things, but that is my target. So for every home that we a fix for somebody, we take that money and use it to help someone else in their home. So I get to do what my initial intention was, but I had to start a business to do it. So this is kind of backwards, from a lot of people who start a business and decide on the charity that they want to donate to, for example. I want to make sure that this is a pivotal part of my company. It's not something that we, write a check at the end of the year for every home. We have a home and the people know each other, and the superintendent works on both homes, simultaneously. Yeah. So we actually become involved in the people's lives. And on one hand, I want to provide for people physically, their physical needs of their home, but the purpose being providing for them spiritually, like getting involved in their life. It's not about just fixing the house. It's about helping them with their life and understanding what needs that they have.
Yeah. Wow. That's great. That's exactly what God's doing.
Right.
And you're a living example of that, and we want to get behind that in any way we can. Real quick, like what I hear you saying in your own example is the heart moves the hands.
Right.
It's not the other way around. That's what wears people out.
Right.
And so real quick, like you don't have to answer quick. I'm just trying to get it in, and she can hang around, if you can hang around a little bit longer. But a couple of things. You've got a big vision. And then a way to live that out in the moment. And so in connecting that, one of the questions we ask in our whole discipleship process is, and we teach people to walk in this, you're already doing it, but I wanted to ask you this question, what will have mattered about your life in 1,000 years, and how are you living that out 1,000 seconds at a time?
Right.
You're doing it, and you got it, but talk about that a little bit.
Well, I feel like I'm doing it sometimes and not other times. It's really, really hard to not get stuck in the minutia of a business and forget about the big picture, and that's something I have to check myself on constantly. Some days you feel like, what am I doing? I'm getting stuck here. But you have to do that sometimes to start a business. And so it's all about the seasons of life and the time, the 1,000 seconds at a time. Yeah. So the goal right now for me is to get the business to a point where we are able to have the resources to be able to get in there and, meet with these people, fix up their homes and get to know them. But I can't get there until I get the business moving. And so right now I'm in that startup phase of getting everything moving correctly. I just cannot, and I think about this every morning, I can't forget the purpose and the vision.
Yeah.
But I do know that there's time that has to be put in and effort that has to be put in to be able to get there. Yeah. So, and I think that comes with being around people that hold you accountable. I think people can easily get off track without that.
Yeah. Well, again, the energy and the excitement to do the work of God can never replace Him.
Right.
And the tension is Kevin knows this all too well about this guy over here, is, just like, let's go, man, let's go, and he's like, whoa, slow down, let Him lead this, because God would never give you something that He doesn't have any intention of providing for.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
And so we stand on the grounds that He's that good. And that's what we step into in faith to find that out. Because the majority of the world has that desire in their heart, but they're not willing to step in because of fear, hesitation, all these kinds of things. So we have to go first. And that's what inspires people to come alongside, because they see excellence, they see genius, they see the character of God in it. And that's magnetic.
That's right.
That's magnetic. And so having the courage to kind of step that out, what did that look like for you? So when you began to go, okay, here we go, I'm just curious as to wrestling through what that was like.
Well, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how I was going to make it work. It's trying to finagle things. How am I going to get this moving and still be able to pay the mortgage? I mean, you have these thoughts about life. Like you said, people think I'm crazy. But I had, a point where I literally was like, if I lose everything, is this still what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, am I still willing to do what God's telling me to do, even if I lose everything? On one hand, I know God's going to provide for me. He has always provided for me. Since I was a young child, there's no question that He's taken care of me. And I had to remind myself of that. What's the difference in this step and every other step He's taking care of? It seems bigger in my mind because I have more to lose, but do I really? Because He's there underneath me and He's providing for me. So I had a point where I really, was, if I do lose everything, if I lose my house, if I lose my car, if I go backwards, I'm actually okay with that if I know that it's moving me forward in God's calling for my life. Did I think that was going to happen? Not necessarily, but I was willing to do that. And I think you have to get to that point, because otherwise fear takes over. I knew for sure that he was going to have me regardless. And so I jumped. So
well, that's the point, isn't it? Putting God first, what we were talking about earlier, which you didn't hear. So it's so cool that you're just giving us great examples. But that's it. It's not God isn't into having us lose everything. That's not what the rich young ruler is all about.
Right.
It's about letting go and being willing to let go of it all, and allow Him to work with it, through it, and through you with that. Yeah. And then that's where power and blessing come on top of it. I wanted to ask you, I don't know how much time we got.
This segment we got, we're wrapping up this segment now, so hold on to that thought. Yeah, because we'll come back. Are you good? You good to hang out?
Sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because this always happens, right? When you get around somebody, that's just you got to keep going. You got to keep going.
Yeah. Well, you need more time. So.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Well, guys, we so appreciate, Anna, with your heart and your business, Isabella Grace. And in the next segment, we're going to talk a little bit about how folks can get connected and learn more. Kevin's got a question for you. But I so appreciate your authenticity and just your willingness to share. And like you said, God's just looking for a willing heart. This is the point here, right? And when He does, boom, He goes in, He feels it, and then everybody just can't keep away from it because it's so attractive to us, Guys, Matt Ham, Kevin Adams, and Annah Norris will be back for more right after this. Hello, and welcome back to Wake Up Our Faith in Business. This is a new segment of our show where we are all about helping you, our viewers and listeners, our tribe, if you will, these folks that are just hungry to begin to bridge the gap between faith and business. This is where we spend our time in business. There is no separation or segregation of our lives. It's all spiritual. It's not like we get to go in between the box. There's not the spiritual box and then the work box. It's all the spiritual box. We have to learn how to bring our faith into that. That's what we do here on the show. Part of that is bringing folks along that have inspiring stories that are living this out in real time as a way to give you hope and encouragement. But we also like to thank our corporate partners because they come underneath us and help us make this possible. One of those being the Honeycutt Group. This is a family-owned insurance brokerage firm right here in Wilmington. More than 10 years of experience in the business. Chad and his team are all about helping you with your insurance needs, whether it be auto, home, business insurance needs, life insurance needs. Do give them a call, the Honeycutt Group, 910-338-1773. If you're just tuning in, just jumping on, we are live with Annah Norris. Anna is the founder of Isabella Grace Refined Homes. Is that homes with bow ties? The homes that wear bow ties? That's the picture I get. It's like bow tie wear, refined.
Refined. I love it. There's a lot of meanings for the word refined in there.
I bet. So, yeah. I bet. I love it. Refined by fire. Kevin,
Exactly.
before we broke, you had a question. I want to provide the opportunity to bring that back up.
Well, we could probably talk an hour or 5 hours. You're living out what God's saying to you, and you stepped into that. You're walking through this by faith and not by sight. That's profound. People need to hear these examples and see the proof of concept happen. So you are that. So what I'd like to do is just touch on, because it's coming from your heart. That's where everything, ultimately what we speak and do. What are these souls, these wonderful human beings, these children of God, or anybody out there? What do they look like? What are you seeing when you're moved to say this is the one, or that's the one, or maybe that's not? Who are your people that you're helping?
Well, it's funny, on break, I would have answered that question differently before break. But during the break, I just mentioned to these guys that I pick a word every year that I use to focus on for my growth, my spiritual growth throughout the year. And this year, that word is restore. And it's significant for me for a lot of reasons. On the surface, what I'm doing now is restoring homes. So we go into homes that have been, dilapidated over time, or hurt by the storm, or whatever it may be, and we're restoring those homes back to their original state. And part of this for me is a restoration of my heart, of my spirit, of my soul. And so, it's kind of a simultaneous parallel thing here, the restoration of these homes physically, but the purpose of that is restoring the person, not necessarily back to where they were, but to God's intention for that person. And through this, for me, I feel like that's where God is taking me this year, is restoring me to my rightful place with Him, and abiding in Him, and to His joy. And that's something I think I forgot, was that I was, He wants me to be joyful. And I had lost that. And that's what I want to take to other people through restoring their home, to restore them to whatever it is that God has in their life. And seeing that through me, I hope, through the provision that God has always had for me. And, the success of this company already in, just these few short months has been astounding. I never could have planned it. It's significantly more. What I have right now, as far as homes I'm working on, is the number I had my goal at for the year. And I've only been gone a few months. And it's an amazing thing, but it just shows me just one more example out of the hundreds I have in my life of God providing and leading me and guiding me. And that's what I want people to see through this process. It's not about the home. The home is an avenue to helping the person be restored.
It's a connection point for His work through you, which is wonderful, restorative to you, and then setting them free, helping them. And I'm sure you got a question. I'm
just over here going, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. It's beautiful. It's exactly, we're working from heaven into the earth. We're not of the world. We're of heaven. We're in the world, and that is powerful. But I just want to make sure that we address this. Tell us specifically, give us an example of what it is you actually do. Like paint a picture. We kind of get it, but let's let them get it all the way.
Well, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of different things to do. It's funny, when I stepped out to do this, I wasn't quite sure what I was getting ready to be doing. I knew the realm that I was working in, but I was kind of waiting to see how God was going to work, and it became very, very clear very, very quickly. For example, the jobs we're working on right now, one is a customer who had a budget, and they ended up purchasing a home for much less, and it's kind of the fixer-upper Joanna Gaines thing, where you go in, you spend half the money, and then you use whatever's left in your budget to fix up the house to be exactly like you want it. So we're doing a whole home renovation on this one, adding an addition. Another one of the homes is actually a home that was damaged significantly during the hurricane, but they are also putting in some of their own money to make an addition to the home with a growing family. So they're using this opportunity and making something that was, a horrible situation into something very good. And being a part of that is actually just amazing. And there's a few other customers we have like that, where we're taking older homes and just, putting in their money and bringing it back to life. So that's the bulk of our work right now.
Yeah.
So.
You know, I love when I hear this, and it's relating spiritually to what we do, what we walk through with people is that if you want, the process of restoration is God's work, but you have to bring what you have to the table. Right? You've got to bring your resources and let the work be done, and bring somebody who has an eye for restoration into the process. And I love that, because that's such a picture of the process of spiritual restoration in our lives. Bring what you have, you know what I mean? It's like, you're not going to renovate your house without bringing resources to the table. You're not going to renovate your house well if you don't bring someone to the table who's excellent.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's your design. That's just a really cool analogy that I've seen kind of pop out here as we're navigating this. So Anna, like I said, Kevin said, we could talk forever, but as we kind of wrap up this segment here and your time with us, go ahead.
Say one thing real quick, that in Romans, and I mentioned this earlier, but it says that the gifts and the call on our life are irrevocable. So when you settle up with that, and that's what happens, we go through pain and struggle and weariness until we go, okay, and we start doing it, but we never let go of that wonderful thing underneath.
Right.
So I just wanted to reiterate that beautiful example of God's seed. It germinates, and then it just blooms. That's what's happening with you anyway. So contact information. How do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, just tell people where they can learn more, how they can get connected. What's the best way for them to engage with you?
The easiest and best way, because I'm always on the run, is just my cell phone.
Okay.
Always available there. My number is 910-660-8255. 9433. My email address is a little bit harder, but I'll just throw it out there really quick. It's Anna. My name is actually spelled ANNAH. Most people miss that one. At IsabellaGraceHomes.com.
If my H was silent, my name would be Am. Your H is silent, and it's
like
Anna.
Hannah with the first
Hannah without the first H.
no palindrome.
Yeah, there we go. So 910-660-9433 is your
right.
phone.
Yes.
And the email address again is Anna with an H at
IsabellaGraceHomes.com.
And is IsabellaGraceHomes.com operational, your site up?
It is almost
there.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And it's so cool just to see you early in this thing, but just having so much going on.
Yeah.
And it's
funny. I had it ready to go, but it's been so busy that I can't get it edited and get it back up. So the good.
Do you love it?
I have too much work to work on my website.
Yeah.
Well, and if you didn't get all that, just reach out to us,
Sure.
and
Absolutely.
we'll point you right to Anna with an H on the end.
That's right.
Awesome.
And we'll put it. I'll put it down in the bottom of the comments on our live stream here. But Anna, it's so encouraging. It's so inspiring just to see God move in His people. More than that, though, of what He's doing in the city, y'all. Like, this is Wilmington, and this is what He's doing. He's restoring people. He's restoring homes. He's letting people birth out their desires. We all get to be a part of it.
He's eradicating spiritual poverty, and He's going to do it through people who are not rock stars, but people who are all in and know who they are in Him, like Anna.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, your life just speaks of that testimony. So just thrilled for you. We're champions for everything that you're doing and for the work that you're doing in this community. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kevin.
You guys check out Annah Norris, Isabella Grace Refined Homes. You got her contact info there. We've got one more segment here on the show. We're going to wrap up with some questions, some tangible takeaways from Kevin and I. Anna, genuinely thank you. You have a fantastic rest of your day, guys. We'll be back right after this. Hello, and welcome back to Wake Up Our Faith in Business. This is the second hour of our show, Wake Up Our Faith, dedicated to helping you thrive in your work and in your faith. They do not have to be segregated. They are supposed to be lived out together, and that's what we talk about. And appreciate you guys jumping on. Matt Ham, Kevin Adams, the co-founders of YouPrint, and this show is made possible by our corporate partners, one of those being Physical Therapy Services of Wilmington. They can be found on the web, ptservicesofwilmington.com. They've been serving southeastern North Carolina since 1983, family-owned and operated with more than 100 years of experience. They have offices on 17th Street near the hospital and at Porter's Neck. For any physical therapy needs, give them a call, 910-763-8286. Kev, we had a phenomenal guest today in Annah Norris. It's just so cool how that tied into what God had already put on our hearts to talk about, which is about putting Him first. Mm-hmm. That's not just about on Sundays or the little piece of the pie, as we said. Right. It's the whole pie. Seeing somebody who's been brave enough and courageous enough to live that out, step into it, is just awesome.
Right on. Yeah, it's a good example, and they're out there because God's doing it. But I think a lot of times people don't see it. We do see a trend in the world of businesses becoming more philanthropic, more beneficial. It's less about profit. It's more about influence for the good. So we're seeing that go on in the world, and I believe that that's completely from God's hand, but because ultimately, whether they believe or not, it's pointing back to something that people can't run away from, and that is we've got to really start doing things for a different motive, and that's people. And ultimately, God created people, so they're His, right? Anyway, long story, but Anna is a good example, and there's more of them out there, and God's really working through that because they're crediting Him. So people like that are taking over, and more power to them.
No, it's great. And we want to encourage our listeners, if you know of someone that's doing this thing, that's living this YouPrint out, if they're pressing in, we want to engage with those folks. I mean, our heart is to be a champion and an advocate for people that are living this out. This is really about being in the stands and cheering these people on, because God gets the credit and He gets the glory, and everybody, we get the victory in the process. And so it's a beautiful thing. So do feel free to share with us, connect with us, let us know if there's somebody that you wanted to nominate or somebody that you'd like to hear from on the show, whatever. We'll reach out to them and kind of see if it fits. You can email us info@youprint.life. That's info@youprint.life. So Kev, this concept of putting God first is really kind of the theme of today's show. And Anna was the testimony of what that looks like in the workplace, and in her desires and her job. But for the person that's sitting out there watching, and they're wanting to kind of say, okay, well, what's next for me? What do I do with this kind of thing? Like if you see the window opens, the opportunity's here. What happens in that process? What would you encourage someone who's sitting on the sidelines to say, hey, man, lady, here's where you can come on in?
Yeah, well, you have to learn how to listen. And really, if you can learn how to listen to God, you got to get past all this stuff where God doesn't speak, or I don't trust people who say that. You got to get past all that. His sheep know His voice. You got to step into that. So this is a real low-level place. But so this is not about improving your intelligence. It's about improving your listening skills. That's putting God first. You're doing the thing that's not logical, still listening to people. So you're standing on the Word, you're digging into the Word with hunger, quality over quantity. You're jumping in because you want to know more about your Father. You want to know more about His personality. And it's just a different place than, I did my Devo and I took a shower and forgot all about it and went to work. I'm cynical about it, but spend real time with God. Put Him first, because He is first. And then learn how to listen, and He'll start to tell you what to do, where to go, what your life's all about. But He'll only tell you in ways that impassion your heart. And He starts to flip everything around. So anyway, that said, work on that. Listening from the Spirit.
Yeah.
We can talk about that, but that's the starting place.
Sure. That
I would teach and do teach people.
Yeah, I was reading in Luke 8 today, and there was a powerful sentence. It was the opening of, I think it was like Luke 8:40. And it says, and Jesus came into the city, and the people welcomed Him because they were waiting for Him. And I just read that, and I said, oh man, you're going to naturally welcome things that you're waiting for. Yeah. You're going to naturally go, oh, if I'm anticipating a package, when a package shows up at my door, I'm like, there's the UPS man, right? When we're expectant of Jesus, when we're anticipating Him to come, we recognize Him and we welcome Him because we go, that's Jesus.
That's right.
If we don't have that anticipatory heart, if we're not waiting on Him, He walks by, you don't even see Him.
Yeah, that's right.
And so that ties into me of this whole thing, is this create this expectant heart, this spiritual ears. I love the prayer, God, give me ears to hear what You're saying.
That's right.
Demand it of Him.
Yeah. Well, and remember, walking by faith is it's the only way. The other way doesn't work. It works temporarily, and it wears you out, and it wastes your life. In God's economy. So when you think about faith as a trajectory or parabolic, Jesus spoke in parables. I don't want to get too deep, but it's circular. The first shall be last. You've got to start thinking this way. This is another layer on what we just talked about, to anticipate, to understand how to even notice what God's doing and see it, because He's in everything, working all the time. He's speaking to us and we're not listening. So remember that faith is picture it like a circle with two dots on. You're on one side, and what God's doing for you and through you, and for those who you're meant to bless, He's on the other side. So if you're at 9 and He's at 3 on this clock idea, this circle, you have to learn to trust that that's on the way and that you're moving toward it. But you can't see it because it's just on the other side. It's like the curvature of the earth. So that's a big old thing. And we could just say, hey, get in your Bible and listen to Jesus. And you already know that. This
Right.
helps you take it in a deeper place and feel it. So learning to walk by faith is simple, not easy because of the outside influences. So the first thing is to begin to really, really step into this hunger. Do you want your life to be lived out and just leave nothing on the table? That's amazing, to get a hold of that, get hungry about it, affectionate for him.
The question to me is in the context of faith in business, are you genuinely welcoming the power of God into your business?
Yeah.
Do you want
Right.
do you want to do this on your own strength, or do you want God's strength to complete it? And that's
Right.
the common question is like, are you trying to build your business? Are you trying to navigate your work week without the power of
Yeah.
God, as if
Right.
somehow that's a better option?
Right. Well, one of the things Anna said was, she didn't want to start a business.
Yeah.
And how many times have you heard me say that after years of being in it and not wanting to ever be in it again, because it's just, it can be nutty. But anyway, we get spiritual, but we've got to learn how to connect these two things and carry it into it. It's just like God's hand in a surgical glove, our business and us. That's the glove. God is the hand. So she didn't want to, but she knew that was the format. Why? Because it taps right into our gifts, and it's where we spend most of our time during the week. It makes sense. It also funds the kingdom. So God's into commerce and business, and we can't separate those two. They're just not separable. God created all of it. So good example. But yeah, once you start digging into him, he'll show you how to carry that out in the 7-day week, fully, in a big way, through your own vocation, business, any of that.
Yeah.
It's where we spend our time.
Yeah, and it's an encouragement for us to just really get honest and serious about inviting him, putting him first, meaning to let him kind of be the board of directors. It's him,
Right.
and he's gonna drive that thing, and it might not make common sense to you, but it's always better than you could have imagined if you're willing to yield to it. And it's like I see this picture of like this little kid building a sandcastle, and God's got this giant like thing of pyramids. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it looks so different, but God lets you be who you are. You don't have to preach from your desk. Your preaching is blessing others through who you are.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
It's a beautiful picture. Guys, Matt Ham, Kevin Adams, Wake Up Our Faith in Business. Get plugged in with us at youprint.life, YOUPRINT.LIFE.